Nationwide, this is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of 365 Sports here in beautiful New York City. This is a Thursday edition, day number 4 of the Zach Gelb Show right here on our brand new home, 365 Sports. Welcome everybody in. What is a Thursday afternoon. Appreciate you tuning in to us and consuming our product. Fun show yesterday, talking it up with Matt Rule, Andrew Bledsoe, also speculating about the future of John Harbaugh. And you can keep on interacting with us by subscribing right here to our 365 Sports YouTube page. In addition to that, you could also subscribe to my exclusive channel, youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow. And that's how you can find all of our content, just in case if you're not listening to us right now live, whether you listen to us 2 hours after the show ends, 3 hours, 4 hours the next day, we will always have content on both channels, 365 Sports. That's our main priority. And then within 365 Sports, the Zach Gelb Show channel, youtube.com/@ZachGelbShow. Coming up at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time today, 1:30 p.m. Central. A good friend of mine, Andrew Perloff from Athlon Sports. He's going to be stopping by. We'll talk college football. We'll talk NFL football with the man that used to be known as McLovin from the Dan Patrick Show. And right at 3 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Central time, we'll be joined by former NFL MVP and also someone that played his college football with the Alabama Crimson Tide and then had a very successful NFL career with the Seattle Seahawks. Good friend of mine, Sean Alexander, will join us. But, last night after the show ended, I had some other commitments. I had to jump on a station in Miami, 560 WQAM. I had to jump on with our guys right here on 365 Sports in Smokey and Craig and Paul. And then afterwards, I went out for dinner. So I went to this place I've never been before in Brooklyn, and it's a phenomenal restaurant called Rolo's. So they had a polenta bread with a chili sauce, which was delicious. They then had an unbelievable burger where they only make I think it's like 100 burgers in the restaurant, and we got the last burger that was available. I would have been very annoyed if I went to a place that has a signature burger and then they were sold out of it. And then my girlfriend said she wanted to try this green lasagna. And when I think of lasagna, I think layered, fattening lasagna with sausage. My family, we put a little pepperoni on it as well, ricotta cheese. So it was good. And I would say the rankings of the food was the burger was 1, the polenta bread was 2. The polenta bread was really spicy and really good. And then in at number 3, I did think it was the green lasagna. They had some dessert too. The dessert was really good. It was kind of like an apple pie with the sweet vanilla ice cream, which was really, really good. So I'd probably put the pie 3 and then the green lasagna 4. Sorry. When like you're a man of my size and you love lasagna as much as I do. And for people that don't know much about this show, folks, each and every year when November comes around, when November 1st hits, I start something that I've been doing for the last decade where I tell you you're doing your Thanksgiving wrong and turkey is vastly overrated, like vastly overrated. And we do lasagna as our main course. And through the years, a lot of people, they've DM'd me, they've called me, they've texted me, they've found me on Twitter, where you can find me, Goal Cesspool, Twitter, and on Instagram. I'm always straight flexing at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. And they go, I don't kind of want to tell you that you're right because I'm afraid my family's going to think I'm weird. But you are right. Turkey's overrated. We do lasagna. We do steak. We do a ribeye, something like that. And it's just one of those things through the years where more and more people go, oh, that Gelb guy has been on to something. Garrett Ross, this is going to be a big test in our early relationship. Through the last 3 days, I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you. But I just wonder, Garrett, where do you stand on turkey on Thanksgiving? Do you actually like it?
I hate it. Just to be honest with you, I hate most traditional Thanksgiving foods. I think it's ridiculous. If I'm going the traditional route in my house, we're going to do a ham. I'll cook a ham.
Oh, that's good.
But turkey, man, I've never really been a big fan of it. It's traditionally too dry. I've had like one good fried turkey one time, but outside of that, just give me the sides, really. Like I want some deviled eggs and some cheesecake, and I'm good, bro.
So may he rest in peace. But Hokie Gaijan, I used to have him on, and I've been doing this shtick for that long. That we're talking about a guy who's dead for a take that he used to had. When I told him that, he goes, "Well, you've never had a fried turkey," and I go, "You're right. I've never had a fried turkey." Right. So if you're going to fry the turkey, I think it's different. But if you do the traditional Thanksgiving turkey, no, I think that's a bunch of bullcrap.
Well, see, down in Texas, like tamales, man, are a big deal. You have tamales on Thanksgiving. That's a nice spread right there.
So do me a favor for maybe the East Coast listener that tunes in. That's like, what the heck is this? Describe the tamale.
A tamale is you take corn masa and you pat it out, and then you take whether it's chicken, pork, beef, whatever meat of your choice, you put it inside it. You can season it up, you roll it up, and then you put it's in a husk. You put the husk around it, and then you steam them. And it's one of the best things you will ever eat in your life. Pair it with like a Big Red or something, it's game over, dude.
So where you're at right now in Waco, because I've learned about this at Texas. Me being an East Coast guy, you just think, oh, you're in Texas, barbecue. Right. And then I went to San Antonio. I had great barbecue in San Antonio, but they're not known for their barbecue. It was at this place, Pinkerton's, which was delicious. Absolutely delicious. But like, hey, I'm an East Coast guy. Our barbecue, it's solid here. It's fine here. But you go to Kansas City, you go to Texas, and you expect to be treated like a king, and you're going to the Mecca pretty much of the barbecue world. So in Waco, Texas, which is about what, an hour and a half from Dallas, I would say?
It's about an hour and a half, right in between Dallas and Austin.
Okay. Is it more barbecue or is it more Mexican food? Because when I went to San Antonio, it was like more Mexican food than barbecue.
So where we're at, it's about a split. Once you hit Austin, like Austin, Luling, there's a lot of little communities outside of that are really known for Driftwood's, another one that are really known for their barbecue areas. Once you get south of that, you hit San Antonio and you go further down into the southern part of Texas. That's where you hit like where Mexican food takes over. But right here, we got a good blend of both. I think Waco's probably got a better selection of Mexican food than it does barbecue. There's a couple of spots in town that I'm really fond of. Hellberg is the best. When you ever come to Waco, you're going to Hellberg Barbecue. It's the best barbecue in town. But we're in a position where we have a good split of both Mexican and barbecue.
Okay. John Valade hit me up and he was like, we want to get you down to Waco for a week. So I said, what am I? I'm the new guy here. Like, you don't have to twist my arm. Like, what obligations? I have a few obligations in the working world outside of this job. So what I have to, sure, if you want me to come to Waco, I'll come to Waco for a week. And I was wondering, I'm like, what's the food scene down there? Now that you told me that it's a mixture of barbecue and Mexican food.
Oh, yeah.
I may stay for 2 weeks, John.
I mean, you would love it, dude. And we got like the little generic knockoff Brooklyn Bridge here too. Like,
How much is Uber? You go 5 miles. How much is an Uber?
Man, I don't Uber, but I would say it's going to be a lot cheaper than you going probably 1 mile in New York.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have a moment of honesty with you right now. So I was running late for something today.
Right.
We had an interview. We're gonna play an interview tomorrow with John Anik, who is the voice of the UFC, and I had a chance to go to a different studio today and interview him in person, and we'll air that conversation for you tomorrow. It's a really good 25-minute conversation. I have a good relationship with the UFC. I went, I think it was 3 miles. Usually I would just walk, but I was running late, and I walk all over. Like, I will walk 5 miles in the city like it's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, the subway, I could have taken the subway, but I said, you know what, I'm running a little bit late. Let me just get in an Uber. The Uber was 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It may have been at most 2.5 miles. It cost me $22 to Uber.
Hell no, dude.
$22. And if it's raining, that Uber would have been $40.
That's ridiculous.
It wasn't raining today. Welcome to New York. Yeah, maybe I'll give you how much I pay a month in rent too.
Well, I was curious, like the other day when you were talking about driving up to Boston, I was curious, like your ratio on using your car versus.
I don't own a car.
Okay, so you're gonna get like a.
Yeah, because I live in the city.
Right.
I don't own a car, so I'll hit up one of my family members and be like, "Hey, I need a car for the weekend. Let me borrow your car. I'm a good son. I'm a good brother. I'm a good nephew. I'm a good cousin. Let me just borrow." And usually family's pretty good. Right. But I had a car all the time when I was living in Philadelphia. And the roads in Philadelphia, let's just be real, they're shit. They are. Yeah. I've had two tires blow out of me in my life. 2 flat tires. Both within a week. A week in Philadelphia with those damn potholes. But in the city, it would cost me anywhere between $700 to $900 a month to park the car in the parking garage.
That's probably ridiculous. No. Yeah.
So no car.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, so that's all I'll do. Anyway, I don't know how we started the show the first 10 minutes on this, but what I was getting at when I went to this dinner last night, and I'm thinking, other than the food that I'm stuffing down my face and my puddum, I'm thinking the Giants just met with John Harbaugh. He left. The idea was he's going to Tennessee, then he's going to go to Atlanta, and then I got back for my dinner, went to sleep, and I woke up this morning at about 8 a.m., rolled over, looked at my phone about 8 a.m. Eastern time, and it's, what did I miss? I got good sleep last night because 6 or 7 hours ago, you did have John Harbaugh become the next head football coach of the New York Giants. So let's start there. I know it's not official yet, but he has told the Giants he's going to be their next head football coach. This is a great day if you're a fan of the Giants because the last decade, outside of that one run where Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll and Joe Shane's first year went to the postseason, this has been one of the worst organizations in the NFL for the last 10 years. Their record's been abysmal. They've had coach after coach come on in and not work out. And ever since Tom Coughlin got let go by the Giants, they have never been able to find respectability again. They've never been able to find respect again, stability. And now this is a new era of the Giants where are the Giants going to win a Super Bowl with John Harbaugh? I can't tell you that. Are the Giants going to be in the playoffs eventually with John Harbaugh? I would expect so. But the days of 4 or 5 wins, just bringing in John Harbaugh, I think are over. John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, they were the 2 hottest names on the market. It doesn't seem like Mike Tomlin is going to be a head coach this upcoming year, and he's probably going to sit out on the sidelines. But with that being said, John Harbaugh was a mega fish. And the Giants have had to settle a lot of times. They had to settle on Joe Judge. They had to settle on Pat Shurmur. Brian Daboll was a good candidate, but it wasn't the creme de la creme candidate on the market. This is a guy that they get that they finally reeled in the big fish. And this is someone that right away has instant credibility and should bring respect back to the New York Giants and also should bring winning back to the Giants. And if you sit here today and you go, oh, the Giants will win a Super Bowl under John Harbaugh, I can't tell you that. But at least you could get in a world where you start to think positively again about this franchise and you could go into a season with actual optimism. And the Giants' goal right now, it's not to win a Super Bowl. It's not. That with what the Giants have been for the last decade, it is not fair to say, okay, now we have Super Bowl expectations again if you're a fan of the New York Giants. It's to make this franchise and this organization, a legendary franchise, respectable again. And that's what John Harbaugh is going to bring to this organization. I once again, I don't know, and it's probably unlikely that the Giants win a Super Bowl with John Harbaugh. But they're going to be a team that year in and year out, the floor should be 8 wins. That's the floor. And the ceiling could be 12 or 13. And you look at this Giants job, things could change rather quickly in this league. Caleb Williams was there year 1 in Chicago with Matt Eberflus. And then Ben Johnson walks in and boom, they're instantly different. The Patriots were the 4th overall pick in the draft last year. Drake May had nothing around him. Mike Vrabel comes in, boom, they're different. So you see Caleb Williams benefit from a new head coach in Ben Johnson. You see Drake May benefit from a new head coach in Mike Vrabel. The Giants are adapting what the Bears did and also what the Patriots did. We're going to keep our GM in place. Elliott Wolf is still there in New England. Ryan Poles is still there in Chicago. Joe Shane is still there with the New York Giants. And now we're bringing in John Harbaugh. And the goal when you bring in John Harbaugh is to get him to have Jackson Dart, who had a solid rookie season, take it to the next level and have this team back in the postseason. And don't tell me it's not possible. Yes, there's a lot of other, speed bumps that they got to go over. There's a lot of other roadblocks that they got to get past. But New England just went from the outhouse to the penthouse. The Bears just went from the outhouse to the penthouse in one offseason. And why? They got the right coach. Mike Vrabel, right coach for the Patriots. Ben Johnson, right coach for the Bears. And now the Giants have a coach that I think is the right coach and a coach that they could be proud of. And he and Jackson Dart combined together could bring you some positive moments, something that has been foreign for the last 10 years if you're a fan of the Giants. So this is a big day. This is a monumental day if you're a fan of the Giants because you could finally walk out of your apartment, walk out of your home, and you could wear your Giants gear. And hey, you still may be wearing your Giants gear the last 10 years, but you could actually wear your Giants gear and not be ashamed. And you could be proud. And you could sit there and say, okay, there is something that I could look at and grab onto and feel like, hey, maybe we are moving now in the right direction. Maybe we are heading down the road where things could get better. Because outside of that 1 year when you went to the postseason with Brian Daboll, it's just been an onslaught of disaster and dysfunction and losing over and over and over again. And now you have a team where Malik Neighbors coming back from an injury, Cam Scatterbo coming back from an injury, a defense that was god-awful last year, but there's talent on this defense. In Abdul Carter, in Brian Burns, in Sexy Dexy, in Dexter Lawrence. And you look at the rest of this division, Dallas has no defense. You know, I know they got Quinnen Williams at the deadline, but they're still missing Micah Parsons, who's in Green Bay. We don't know what's going to happen with George Pickens. The Commanders, 2 years ago, they were a wonderful story. Last year, Jaden Daniels couldn't stay healthy. Are those going to continue to be habitual problems? And the Eagles, they'll always win double-digit games, but that team has some intense locker room problems. So I'm not going to sit here today and tell you, oh, expect the Giants to win the NFC East next year. I'm not going to do that. But my football team, the Patriots, Mike Vrabel walked in this year, and I looked at the schedule, and I said, oh, it's an easy-peasy schedule. You got Drake May, who I believe in. They brought in Milton Williams, who I thought was a very good offseason acquisition. You got a good young corner in Gonzo and Christian Gonzalez. They brought in Stephon Diggs, who's no longer a number one wide receiver, but he's still solid. Like, you look at the Patriots roster, It's not a roster that you would think they would win the AFC East. It's not a roster that you would think that they would have double-digit wins and they're one win away from going to an AFC championship game. Like, you look at the roster, you wouldn't expect that. But I said going into the season, like, don't be surprised if the Patriots win 9 or 10 games, and I shortchanged them. But it just shows you in this league, and you need more. But the foundational pieces and the two most important pieces when you construct a football team, number one, it's the quarterback, and number two, it's the head coach. And in a place like Chicago, they had a guy that you said in Caleb Williams, he may not be great, but he's good enough. Like, you could win with Caleb Williams. Drake May, before the season, he still got a lot to prove, but you could win with Drake May. And I think the Giants have a guy in Jackson Dart who, full disclosure, I didn't love him coming out of college at Ole Miss. I remember him up against Florida throwing away a spot to the college football playoff. But the Giants liked him enough to move up in the draft to go get him, in the first round after they took Abdul Carter. And they went up and they got him. And he had some moments this year. Now, he's got to protect himself. He's got to learn how to go out of bounds 4 or 5 yards earlier. He's got to learn how to slide. But being around him a little bit this year, and I was at that Eagles-Giants game, Thursday Night Football, where the Giants beat the Eagles, he does have a cool swagger. He does have a confidence to him. And you need confidence. Mike Vrabel has confidence. Ben Johnson has confidence. And when you're trying to turn a situation around that's a messy situation, you got to talk a big game now. You got to create a different culture. You got to exude confidence. Like, I know it didn't work this year, but when Dan Campbell first got to Detroit, we all thought he was effing crazy. And I'm like, what the heck is this guy saying? And Dan Campbell got eventually the Detroit Lions to an NFC title game. And then the year after that, they were the number one overall seed in the NFC. And sure, they got upset by the Commanders. And this year, the rug was kind of pulled out from underneath them. But this is a move today that Giants fans look at it, and you got to be thrilled. And I understand you could say, well, he had Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. That's a 2-time MVP. And he wasn't able to get anywhere past an AFC championship game. So why should I be excited? Isn't this about winning Super Bowls? The Giants have won 4 Super Bowls in their history. They've had, Parcells. They've had Coughlin. They had Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks, Phil Simms, Eli Manning, Michael Strahan. If that's the way that you're looking at this, where you go, oh, well, if he didn't win another Super Bowl in Baltimore, he won one with Joe Flacco, but he didn't win one with Lamar. And the last few years, you saw him blow a bunch of double-digit leads. You saw him have shortcomings in the playoffs. Like, why should I be excited about this today? I think you're spoiled if you're a Giant fan. I do. And I think it's a very minuscule portion of the fan base today that would even question this. I would say 99.5% of you look at this move today and you're saying, wow, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We've been through this shit for the last 10 years. It's been ugly. It's been sloppy. It's been dysfunctional. It's been a clown show. It's been a disaster. And now, John Harbaugh's there. And now John Harbaugh is going to latch on to the hand of Jackson Dart, going to latch on to the hand of Malik Neighbors, going to latch on to the hand of Brian Burns, going to latch on to the hand of Abdul Carter, try to put his arms around big old Dexter Lawrence, and they're going to try to instantly turn this team around. And don't tell me it can't happen in one offseason, because once again, Mike Vrabel took the Patriots from the 4th overall pick in the draft to, in one offseason, and him having his first season as a head coach, they're in the divisional round this year. DeMeco Ryans goes right into Houston. They draft C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. Boom, they're in the divisional round. The Chicago Bears pair Ben Johnson up with Caleb Williams, and boom, instantly, they're in the divisional round right now. So even though this has been an unmitigated disaster the last decade, outside of 1 year, the Giant fan could finally get on the train today and say, choo-choo, we're moving back into the right destination, and we're going back into the right direction. And the last 10 years, they haven't had many moments of that. And that's what John Harbaugh brings. John Harbaugh brings instant credibility and instant respect and a belief back to the Giants. And the Giants fans have not had a lot of optimism unless if they've just been delirious and they believe anything. in pretty much the last decade. So this is a heck of a hire by the Giants. And it's one, sure, he didn't win a Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson, but right now the Giants' goal is not to win a Super Bowl. It is to get this team back to playing good football where fans could be proud of the product, and you're not sitting there in October and you know the season's already over, and you're not sitting there in November and December and there's about like 7,000 people in the stadium because you can't even give away the tickets for free. It's a heck of a move. Heck of a move today by John Harbaugh and the Giants. And I give credit to the Giants, Joe Shane, John Mara, Chris Mara, whoever you need to give credit to, whoever got this deal done, you give them credit because John Harbaugh met with you first. He could have gotten that plane to Tennessee. He could have gotten that plane to Atlanta. And who knows what would have happened? Maybe he would have said, I like the meeting with the Giants. I like Jackson Dart. I like Malik Neighbors. I respect the brand of the Giants, but Tennessee's got Cam Ward. The Falcons, they got Bijan Robinson and some good young defenders, and they're in an easy-peasy division. But the meeting obviously was good enough yesterday where in the middle of the night, not to quote a Billy Joel song, in the middle of the night. I won't sing, though. We don't want viewership to go down. That they ended up getting this deal done. And I saw somewhere that it's a 5-year deal and it's going to be $20 million a year. Oh, boy. That's a nice chunk of change. And we'll see who ends up becoming the next head football coach of the Ravens, too. Could it be Brian Flores? Is it going to be Jesse Minter? Could it be Chris Shula? Could it be Clint Kubiak? We get the one domino to fall. That was the Ravens get rid of John Harbaugh. The next domino is John Harbaugh is the first coach to land somewhere, and he lands with the New York Giants. And now we're going to have to wait and see who ends up taking over as the next head football coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Real quickly, just looking, because I think this is interesting. The last two draft class, just the first round quarterbacks that were taken. Jackson Dart's going to have two coaches in what's going to be his second season. And I'm not counting the interim folks. Cam Ward, this offseason, is going to be on his second head coach. Caleb Williams is already on his second head coach. Jaden Daniels, if the Commanders don't make the playoffs this year, and after going to the NFC Championship game, you missed the postseason in back-to-back years, I do think there will be a reset at the head coaching position. Drake May had to survive Gerard Mayo, then got Mike Vrabel, two coaches. Michael Penix Jr. is going to have two coaches. Raheem Morris, you got to get that leg figured out, and then we'll see who the Falcons hire. J.J. McCarthy, one coach, Kevin O'Connell, but J.J. McCarthy can't stay healthy. And Bo Nix has had, one coach in Sean Payton who drafted him last year. So Dart, Ward, Caleb, Drake, Penix, that's 5 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks that got drafted in the first round the last 2 years. 5 out of 7 already are on their second coach or about to be on their second head coach. That's wild. And usually when you would say that, you would think, that they just had nothing and they have no success right now. But Jackson Dart and Cam Ward obviously both missed the playoffs. Caleb Williams is in the playoffs. Drake May is in the playoffs. Michael Penix Jr. just missed out on the playoffs, but he wasn't playing anyway. So you can't, to me, if I'm a Giant fan, which I'm not, I'm looking at Drake May and I'm looking at Caleb Williams. And you're saying to yourself, why not us? If Chicago was able to get Caleb right with Ben, and New England was able to get Drake May right with Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, why can't the Giants, with John Harbaugh coming on in, who brings respect and credibility and gives you a reason to believe again, why can't John Harbaugh find a way to do what Mike Vrabel did? Why can't John Harbaugh find a way to do what Ben Johnson did for Drake May and Caleb Williams? That's the way that, I don't think you need to sell John Harbaugh. The resume speaks for itself. The respect you have, what he did for 2 decades in Baltimore, it speaks for itself. But that's to put it into a 2026 football world and not just rest on someone's past laurels and past success. You say, this is the successful coach. This is the established coach. This is not an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator that you're like, I don't know if he's going to work out. No, he's proven. He has a track record of success. And if a guy like Ben Johnson, who was unproven, can do it, and Mike Vrabel, who was proven, can do it, why can't the Giants do it? And ultimately, Jackson Dart's going to have to stay healthy, and they're going to have to take Jackson Dart to the next level. But we weren't talking all that glowingly about Caleb Williams and Drake May. Like, there wasn't conviction that both those two guys were going to be studs at the end of last season. Now, they both showed some signs, but then you get the right head coach and you have a good marriage and a healthy marriage, and it elevates real quickly. Like, who would have thought the Patriots would have won the AFC East this year? Who would have thought the Bears would have won the NFC North? And who both would have thought that those two teams would be there, and they're 60 minutes away from going to conference championship games? It's unbelievable. All righty, we'll take a timeout right here. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. Make sure you subscribe right here on our 365 Sports YouTube page. Also, once you do that, then you could find my own page, youtube.com/@Zach Gelb Show. Make sure you subscribe to both. You can always follow me, Twitter and Instagram @Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB, or on TikTok @The Zach Gelb Show. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, we will preview the national championship game on Monday night. We will get you set for all the craziness that's going on in the quarterback transfer portal world. Also, we'll delve into all the games this upcoming weekend on Saturday and Sunday in the divisional round. Good friend of our program, a former colleague of mine, Andrew Perloff, formerly known as McLovin from the Dan Patrick Show, and had a great run at CBS Sports Radio and the Infinity Sports Network. Now he's a contributor to Athlon Sports. He's going to join us on the other side. We'll be back in 90 seconds. This is Zach Gelb, off and running on a Thursday on 365 Sports.
Glass stainless steel grill from Monument Grills, made of tempered glass, which is strong, insulated, and allows you to check your grilling without lifting the lid. Our porcelain-coated cast iron cooking grids offer a large cooking surface of 513.3 square inches, primary cooking area with even heat cooking. The Monument Grills include LED control knobs and are easy to light with pilotless electronic ignition. Better grilling, better value, Monument Grills.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
I'm Abby Dommett, 2023 CrossFit Games athlete, and I use Airwave because it helps me breathe easier and stay more relaxed during my workouts.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very discreet.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God. We're back again.
All righty, welcome back in. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. Giants do land John Harbaugh as their next head football coach. Paul Catalina, who obviously does a show right here on 365 Sports, right after me. We were talking about me potentially going down to Waco, Texas for a week. He said, if you come here, I will give you the food tour of your dreams. Well, Paul, I think that's a guy that knows a thing or two about food, if I'm just being honest. And if I have to go to Waco, Texas, I think I would trust Garrett, and I think I would trust Paul to get your boy taken care of. We are going to get Andrew Perloff on coming up momentarily. Oh, no, right. He's right here. Hello. How you doing, my friend? How are you?
I'm great. Am I coming in loud and clear on the Zach Gelb Show?
Yes, you are. And by the way, Andrew Perloff now at Athlon Sports as a contributor, as he's been, for the last 2 seasons you've been doing that, right?
Yeah. And now I'm going to the Senior Bowl in 2 weeks for Athlon, going to the Super Bowl for Athlon. So expanding my role there because, as you know, I used to work with you somewhere else, a place we will not mention.
Well, yeah, we won't talk about that, okay? We'll never mention again. They probably just want a Barrett Sports Media headline.
I still like that company. I'm still a part-time employee of that company. It's the folks that took it over that I may not love.
I stole all these Odyssey coffee mugs on the way out.
You were the bastard that did that.
Yeah. It's kind of like my severance, as many coffee mugs as I could get. So yeah, I have extras if you want them. I'll bring them over to your house.
Yeah, I think I'm good. But let me just ask you this. So you're going to the Senior Bowl, and Perloff is always one of those guys that obsesses over the draft. That's why we get along so well. And I would be in the newsroom, and you would come out during your show, and you'd be like, "Hey, you hear about this nickel corner? He's expected to go in the 5th round." And I'd be like, yeah. And I have no clue who you're talking about. And then you would just start talking about him.
It's usually a Temple guy because there's always a defensive back at a Temple who I'm like, I expect you to be the lead scout on, Rock Ya-Sin on down. It's a Temple guy. But the more recent Temple guys, you're not as excited about. And anyone Temple plays, I'm like, well, Zach probably watched. I don't know if that's true because you also watch a lot of major D1 stuff as well. So I'm not sure how you fit it all in on a Saturday.
Well, Rod Carey, I wasn't a fan of. He was catastrophe Carey. Stan Drayton was a nice guy, but he should have never been the head coach. But this guy, Casey Keeler's done a nice job, and Temple probably should have went to a bowl game this year. But up against the academies, they blew the game up against Navy, and they also blew the game up against Army. So anyway, let's get to the big news of the day. We'll do a bunch of college football. We'll go around the games this weekend. The Giants landing John Harbaugh. Your immediate reaction?
I got to admit, I am not as optimistic as everyone here in New York is. I think there are problems with the Giants that go to the GM and go organizationally. This is not my take, but it's a family-run company, and sometimes they're afraid of making the really, really hard moves. I don't think John Harbaugh is taking over the same kind of roster he had in Baltimore, and he's not a play caller like Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen, who's immediately going to make Jackson Dart an offensive success. So I'm really cautious about saying that they landed the star of this coaching carousel. If John Harbaugh had gone to Philly, I would have loved it. If John Harbaugh had gone to a place that had a roster in place, I would have loved it. I don't trust this Giants roster, Zach.
But why can't John Harbaugh do what Mike Vrabel did this past year? Because the Patriots roster isn't anything special. Sir, there's some good pieces like Jackson Dart, like Malik Neighbors, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. You look at the Patriots, Drake May, Milton Williams, Christian Gonzalez, but it's not like it's an elite roster. If I'm a Giant fan, I'm saying, look at what Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams did immediately. Look at what Mike Vrabel and Drake May did immediately, where also the GM stayed in place in Elliott Wolf and Ryan Poles, and that's who you're trying to emulate, right?
Well, yeah, but here's the difference. Jackson Dart and Drake May. And I'm sorry, that Jackson Dart is not Drake May. He is good. I'm a Jackson Dart fan. But one, do we know he's durable? Two, is he intermediate downfield passer like Drake May is? Now, listen, they both have wheels. Drake May's running is unbelievable. I do not think that we're talking about the same caliber of quarterback. So John Harbaugh, when he was looking at the jobs, remember, Zach, he's like, I'm going to look at tape of Cam Ward. I'm going to look at Jackson Dart, and I'm going to base my decision on that. I don't think Jackson Dart is good enough to justify going there. And I don't think it's going to be the same transition that we saw in New England. The difference with Ben Johnson is Ben Johnson can call up these run plays that just make everything easier for everyone there. And Liam Cohen knew how to coach Trevor Lawrence. John Harbaugh has not been that great with quarterbacks. I mean, even Joe Flacco looked better in his limited time in Cleveland than he often did in Baltimore. So I don't think the quarterback-coach marriage is the same as the situations you're describing.
Let me put Andrew Perloff in the shoes of John Harbaugh. Take out the Steelers, because I don't think the Steelers were hiring John Harbaugh. Which job would you have taken then?
I would have taken Tennessee. And
really? Over Atlanta?
Yes. Atlanta has got the same problem as the Giants, just structural issues. Now, Tennessee is a blank slate. I think Cam Ward is a star. I saw enough of him this year to think, God, if he had the right coach, with that arm ability and that mobility, he will be the next Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb Williams, you look at his stats, didn't even hit 4,000 yards. Caleb Williams is not Patrick Mahomes, but he's a guy who can win you games and he can make throws. I mean, Cam Ward's not as far along as Caleb was, but I think that is the hidden gem of this coaching carousel. And I think Tennessee, we'll see. Is it going to be a Mike McCarthy type? Maybe. But I think Tennessee is going to have rapid improvement at some point because of the quarterback.
What's your view on Fernando Mendoza, expected to be the first overall pick of the draft to the Raiders and obviously playing for a national championship on Monday night?
I've been trying to talk myself out of Fernando Mendoza the entire postseason, going back to the season as an NFL prospect. I was told he wasn't that athletic. I was told that, Kurt Cignetti is setting up things really easily for him. He's a system quarterback. Then every time I watch him play, I'm like, oh my God, this guy can flat out ball. I'm shocked by how well he can run. There's a couple scrambles where he was outrunning linebackers in his last game. I think he is the truth. I think the Raiders got lucky in a one quarterback draft, which is Fernando Mendoza. They got the number 1 pick. I'm pretty confident that he's going to be good. He is more than just Kirk Cousins to me. Now, listen, he doesn't have to do that much at Indiana, but he's got all the arm and he's got the athleticism to do the job. I think he's going to be really, really good.
So the floor, from what you said, is Kirk Cousins. What would be the ceiling for you? Is there a quarterback of the past with Fernando Mendoza that you say, okay, that could maybe be the apex, just to give a range?
He's gotten, I've heard people compare him, and it's totally ridiculous, to Tom Brady. I can't do that. Because he's smart. He almost went to Yale, right? If you heard that story.
Yeah.
So he's got the brain. So who's a Tom Brady-like character?
Can I give you one?
Yeah, give me one. I'm trying to think it.
What about, just because the similarities on the rise, both transferred, not a lot of people talking about them before their breakout season, both could be undefeated national champions, both won the Heisman. Joe Burrow?
No. Doesn't quite do it for me. Too much talent in Joe Burrow. I don't think Fernando Mendoza is going to be that talented. I think he's going to win more with he's closer to Kirk Cousins, where he's going to throw the ball, a catchable ball. I got one. How about Eli Manning?
Okay. Yeah. If you're a Raider fan, you would take a Hall of Famer and you would take at least one Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'll throw picks like Eli did, but Eli would definitely throw a catchable ball either by his receiver or by the or the cornerback. So I think that sort of high end. I mean, let's be honest, Zach, and tell me if you agree with this. I think there's 10 to 15 quarterbacks good enough to win a Super Bowl. I think if Jalen Hurts can do it and Brock Purdy can get into overtime of the Super Bowl, then lots of guys can. So I don't think you need to be Joe Burrow or Tom Brady to be good enough for the Raiders. I think he's going to be in that 8 to 12 range, and that is just fine.
I think you bring up a good point, Andrew Perloff, because we used to live in a time where if your last name wasn't Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger, Breeze, Rodgers, like even Rodgers only won one and Breeze only won one. It was tough to go win it. Like, and sure, you had some guys slip through the cracks, like Flacco one year and Nick Foles another year. But usually you had to be not only a great quarterback, but like an elite quarterback to win. Now the NFL is so wide open. Like we sit here, Josh Allen's elite. Drake May is playing like he's elite. But with that being said, it's only his second year in the league. I wouldn't say Bo Nix is elite. CJ Stroud isn't elite. Caleb Williams is very good, but not elite. Matthew Stafford, okay, I would say elite. Brock Purdy's not elite. So it's like you look, Sam Darnold not elite. Unless if it's Allen, and I'm not ready to say May is elite yet, even though he could be the MVP, but I got to just see it more through time. Yeah. There's a good chance.
You said Stafford too. So,
Stafford too. Yeah, but
Allen and Stafford are the two elite guys.
Yeah, and still, I think if you ask people who are the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL, everyone would say Josh Allen. Some people a lot of people wouldn't say Matthew Stafford. So it's one of those things where there's a good chance a non-elite quarterback wins it all this year.
Absolutely. By the way, am I moving around in the center of the screen? I'm trying. I don't know what Garrett's up to here. I feel like I'm trying to center myself. So help me out with that, Zach.
No, yeah, feel free to do. You look good. Like we could only do so much with you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you have like James Cameron, like Avatar style things is not going to make me look that good.
Look, and let's be real. I'm only 4 days into this venture, so there's going to be some sloppiness. There's going to be some f-ups to start. Getting back to the NFL.
Oh, wait. But yeah, what was the last question though? Because I had it. I said before that.
We were talking
quarterback.
about comparisons with Mendoza.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's a lot of. I'm a system quarterback guy, Zach. You know that. Like you take Joe. You mentioned Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was nothing at Ohio State. Goes to LSU. You take, to me, look at Trevor Lawrence before and after Liam Cohen. I know the beginning of the season wasn't red hot, but he was a different quarterback. Caleb Williams is a different quarterback with Ben Johnson. So a lot of Mendoza depends on really what the Raiders do organizationally. And I don't know exactly if they're going to make it in the mold of Tom Brady. But to me, Mendoza is another guy, though. He will be a system quarterback. Like, he has to go to the right place. This year, Cam Ward had no chance in Tennessee. So to really put a bow on Fernando Mendoza, tell me about who the OC is and tell me more about Vegas. And then we could really answer the question.
Also, when you look at the draft yesterday, we would have thought that Dante Moore was going to be the second overall pick to the Jets. Now he's going back to Oregon. Raiola's going to have to sit a year. It's one of those things where I look at it and I say to myself, all right, Dante Moore, for your own personal development, it's probably better for you to go back to Oregon, but are you going to really be that much better than the second overall pick in the draft?
Listen, there's a bunch of things happening here. One, he'll get paid a ton. It's a new world. You know, you get $8 million, whatever, in NIL.
Yeah.
That's big money. Two, the Jets were sitting there. He doesn't want to go there. Aaron Glenn probably shouldn't have kept his job after the way they played in Week 18. And three, he's going to be 20 at the time of the draft. It's way too young. The numbers are not good. You know, historically, if you only have a certain number of starts under your belt, the odds of you being great are not good. This is an old Gil Brandt maxim. Remember the old NFL scout used to wear his sweatpants up to his belly button? Yeah. He basically said, you need 2 seasons of starting to really develop, to be ready for the NFL. So I don't think he was ready. I think going back was actually the smart move. Now, next year is a much better quarterback draft, but reality is he would have gone to the Jets and he would not have been ready, and it would have been Sam Darnold 2.0 or Zach Wilson 2.0 or go down the list, anyone not named Chad Pennington 2.0. It would have been bad. So I think he made the right decision at the moment.
All righty, let's get one more on college, and we'll go back to the NFL. When you have to look at the national championship game coming up on Monday night, you are Mr. Against the Grain. Is there an against the grain take to go with Miami over Indiana? As I think Miami's now an 8.5-point dog.
Yes. The Penn State game. Control the ball on the ground. If you could run on Indiana, keep it away from their run game. I mean, we've been talking about Mendoza. Have we seen Mendoza really have to throw a lot of passes in a game, Zach? They've been running like crazy. So if Miami can establish their run game with Fletcher and just pound the ball and Marty Brown, then Indiana will have to throw the ball, which even with the number 1 pick, they're not that comfortable doing. And I really like the potential upset because of that.
Wrap it up with Andrew Perloff from Athlon Sports. Did he freeze up on us? Is he still there?
He froze up. He'll be fine.
Oh, he froze up. So, this is a paused version of Andrew Perloff. Are you back? Oh, he's moving. No, he's not. He's frozen. He's pixelated. And there he goes, Perloff. Oh, if we could get him back up if he reconnects. I got a few more questions that I want to get to.
Oh.
What do you is your internet from the Stone Age?
All right, you know what it is? It's that Verizon outage. No. Basically, we've been actually talking about this. I've been working on my camera setup, and I've been moving all around the house. I have this huge duplex in Brooklyn, and the sun comes in all kind of crazy angles. So I was moving it around all day to find. I was excited for this because we haven't talked football in 3 days. So I was curious where you're at. But I've been moving around, so I lost my internet for 1 second. I apologize to your viewers, but
terrible. How could you live with yourself?
Dude, I've been dropping gems with my system quarterback stuff. That is my A material.
Yeah. So let's get to the games this weekend, and then we'll let you run. Andrew Perloff, Athlon Sports contributor. Let's start off with the game I'm going to. We'll go Sunday at 3 p.m. first. Patriots and Texans. What's your thoughts on it?
Now, okay, can I just preface it by saying I did a 4-team moneyline parlay of all 4 underdogs. The one I'm not quite as confident about is the Houston Texans. Indoor teams going outside in the playoffs, generally not great. Now, you could say Houston's a defense team who's been running the ball actually surprisingly well. That translates. But C.J. Stroud was such a mess last week, Zach. I can't see him keeping it together in Foxborough. which is a place where better quarterbacks have struggled. If he can't keep an eye on this shotgun snap, how is he going to do it in a close game against New England? Now, I understand Will Anderson and the Texans D-line is great. I just do not trust the Texans offense enough. And the Patriots defense, obviously, I think because of their coach, is playing really well. This is the one underdog I have the least faith in Houston.
Rams and Bears. Is there concern about the Rams going outside because of what you saw last year with the Eagles and the Rams and then just lose that game in the snow?
Yes, absolutely. Well, the Rams actually played pretty well in that snow game in the Link. I was surprised because that was a great Eagles team. Now, this is really cold. This is even colder. Now, the field conditions might be better, but it feels like 6 degrees. And the Bears have been playing in this. That's what concerns me for the Rams, Zach, is that the Bears have been outside in some really, really cold games of late. I think they're ready to go. I think they can run the ball. I think they have a real good chance here against Rams.
Seahawks and Niners, the last time we saw this, it was low scoring. The division was on the line. The 1 seed was on the line. It was like the Seahawks won, but it was because of their defense. Their offense did nothing. What gives here in the best of 3 between the 49ers and Seahawks?
Yeah, I expect another low-scoring game. I think San Francisco's defense, just give all the credit in the world to Robert Saleh. I would hire him. They played so good with – I don't care that there's no Bosa. I don't care that there may or may not be Fred Warner. These guys who stepped in have played great. I expect another low-scoring game. And I'm going to be honest, I'm nervous about Darnold. Hasn't won a playoff game yet. Will throw picks. I expect a low-scoring game. So last one, that game could have gone either way. And I am not confident Seattle can win another game of that style. Now, Seattle's defense is the real deal. Absolutely. So I think this is going to come down to Purdy versus Darnold. And believe it or not, I have a little more confidence in Brock Purdy because he's been there in the playoffs.
Dude, can you do me a favor? Can you just take your glasses off for 1 second and then I'll tell you why?
Yep.
You got a little Shanahan to you with that hat.
Yeah. No.
You look like him.
I've gotten that before. Also, offensive genius. It's kind of big. Now, wait. This is a full disclosure for the audience. We have a common friend, Sully.
Yes.
Sully's always like, you got to wear big, straight rim hats. So that's why, and he got me this hat. This is a Sully classic. Yeah. So I'm kind of working on this look, and dude, you just made my day.
Okay. One more game in the NFL. I can't stand Sean Payton. I am rooting against him. He's obnoxious. The Bill. It feels like we're going to get New England and Buffalo. Where do you lie on Bills and Broncos?
Josh Allen running, baby. Fourth quarter. The Broncos. That's when they do their damage, right? In the fourth quarter, it's going to come down to the best quarterback still alive in the playoffs. I have so much faith in Josh Allen in a close game, and our good friend Maggie Gray. I think she's getting the Super Bowl trip this year. I expect a close game. I like Denver's defense, but Josh Allen is a cheat code. Obviously, I expect him to use his legs. I don't care. I saw a graphic with 4 different injuries on his body. None of that seems to matter come playoff time. So I have a lot of faith in him.
All right, I've saved the best for last. State of the Union. Your Eagles were just a locker room problem this year. Kevin Patullo fired as the offensive coordinator. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown hate one another. What should the Eagles do this offseason?
Okay, so I'm a keep Sirianni guy, honestly. I did mention Harbaugh earlier.
Agreed.
Obviously, firing Kevin Patullo was the right first step. I definitely want to bring in a Kellen Moore type. So if somehow Mike McDaniel or Cliff Kingsbury shakes free, we already lost Todd Monken as a possibility. So I think just get a veteran offensive coordinator, then buy your Super Bowl ticket stack. We have a clear pattern here. 2022, reach a Super Bowl, almost win. Then you go with a buddy of Sirianni's in the next year as your OC. Then you fire him, bring in Kellen Moore, go to the Super Bowl. So every other year, it's going to be a pattern because that's honestly coaching and play calling was the number one thing. I was at the Bears-Eagles game, and the Eagles just were so out-schemed defensively versus their offense. I think they can fix a lot of that with play calling. They need to make life easier for Jalen Hurts. Now, I'm not saying Hurts got screwed over by this offense. It's partly his fault because he can't do that much, but they need to find a way to get him easier throws on earlier downs. And I have faith that they can get one more year out of Saquon. I'm really confident about next year. I got to be honest. I'm thinking about buying season tickets. I'm really into next year.
You know, there's like a waiting list, right?
I know people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me and Brad. Do you know Brad?
No.
Brad Cooper?
No.
Bradley Cooper?
Oh. Brad. Who calls him Brad? Yeah, can you get me a cheesesteak from Danny and Coops?
So I haven't been yet. What's your review?
I haven't been either.
Yeah. We got to go. What are we doing?
Okay. So why don't we do like a cheesesteak segment? We'll get a cheesesteak and we'll try to get sponsorship money out of them.
Are you kidding me? I don't even care if we could just be sponsored in cheesesteaks.
I walked into the link last year. I think it was actually for Rams Eagles. Bradley Cooper and I shared an elevator.
Was he nice?
Yeah, nice guy. Had a ton of people around him, but nice guy.
Okay. Yeah,
I should have asked him for Danny and Coops there, and it was a big regret of mine. Like, hey, can I get a free cheesesteak or something like that?
So why don't we do? Can I just spitball here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Any sponsors, let's say. Why don't we do 5 to 10 cheesesteak places? Obviously, De Sandro's is
cheesesteak tour.
Yeah, just do a cheesesteak tour. I mean, first of all, like, are we going to be? I'll eat like 3 in a sitting. You know this. I brag about my cheesesteak, but
yeah, you could eat for a thin guy. You could eat for an emaciated fella. You could eat like a pig.
So we'll do it after the football season. I'm going to be down in Philly the week after the Super Bowl or whatever. We definitely could do this. We could do New York. I don't really trust. That's the furthest away from Philly I'll get a cheesesteak is New York. I won't do like Atlanta. I'm not even going to try a cheesesteak there.
No, you probably have to go to Magic City if you're going to Atlanta.
Okay.
Got to try those lemon pepper Lou wings, I hear.
I'm back in.
A lot of good breasts and thighs there from what I'm told. Last thing, just getting back to the Eagles. Should they trade A.J. Brown this offseason?
Yes. I mean, the cap number is ridiculous. It's not going to work. So should they? Yes. They need, you can trade number 1 receivers and still win. Look at the Chiefs with Tyreek Hill. Look at the Packers when they lost Devontae Adams. The thing about A.J. Brown is it became predictable. And Jalen was just not finding him. They don't need him. I'll be honest. Devontae can be number 1. I heard a segment on ESPN where someone was ripping the Eagles for not going to A.J. Brown on that 4th down play at the end. I didn't have any faith in A.J. Brown. I wanted to go to Goddard that entire time. Turned out Goddard was triple teamed. But he's not the number 1 guy he was 2 years. I'm over A.J. Brown.
I think if they get McDaniel as the OC, you could find a way to get him to stay for another year because McDaniel has dealt with the crazy wide receiver like Tyreek Hill, who is worse than A.J. Brown just in terms of dealing with him. But it depends who the OC is, if that OC is capable of salvaging the relationship, because it's clear Nick Sirianni can't get Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown on the same page, and it's really dependent on whoever the OC is, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Sirianni has tried. Here's another concern: is Sirianni and A.J. Brown, are they going to get along? I think Sirianni's tired of the crap, but
I don't blame him.
This comes back to Jalen Hurts too. If Jalen Hurts doesn't run the ball, he is so much less effective. And I thought he made business decisions. I think that he was running horizontally when he should have been running vertically. So that new OC has to light a fire under Hurts as well and get because it all feeds on each other. Like Jalen Hurts has to help with a couple first downs. That loosens up the defense, and then A.J. Brown is more open. So there's a lot going on here.
He's Andrew Perloff from Athlon Sports, obviously a friend of the program. Pearl, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
You got it. There he is, Andrew Perloff joining us, Zach Gelb Show, right here on 365 Sports as we go around the college football world with him and also the NFL world. And, whenever Perloff comes on, we usually do end up talking about food. In our last job when we were together, they would always send Perloff and I out on the road, and we would go to the NFL draft. We would go to Super Bowls. We would go to March Madness. And I learned very on that Perloff is connected, and Perloff actually, you look at Perloff. Do you think that guy really knows food? I don't. But you put a guy in a restaurant like that, he knows, or a city, he knows how to find the good food places, and he also knows how to order. So I will say, Andrew Perloff, he is a fun person to travel with. I appreciate him jumping on board and talking some football with us. I'm surprised because he's usually very negative about his Eagles. I'm surprised how optimistic he is about this upcoming season with it just ending last week, but he's not wrong in terms of waves. If you look at Nick Sirianni, they made a Super Bowl, lost it to the Chiefs. Then they had that 10-1 start. They were disastrous down the stretch. Then they win the Super Bowl. Then this year, leaking, not a clean product. Offense was sloppy. And if you go off that kind of algorithm and that kind of formula, 1 year good, 1 year bad, 1 year good, 1 year bad, then it should be a good season, but they got to find a way to put an end to this nonsense because it's been going on for 3 years with the quarterback and also the wide receiver in A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. And the offensive coordinator hire is massive. You bring in Kellen Moore, I didn't even think was all that great. You win a Super Bowl. Who was the guy? Brian Johnson that he had. Disaster. Kevin Patullo. Disaster. And I would be curious if a guy like Mike McDaniel, if you get a head coaching job, you get a head coaching job. But if Mike McDaniel can go to let's say the Cardinals or be the Eagles offensive coordinator, if you're going to be the head coach of the Cardinals, I don't know how appealing that is. I would say I'd rather go be the offensive coordinator of the Eagles, but we know how sacred and how selective those jobs are. All righty, we'll take a timeout. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. We'll come on back. We will have Sean Alexander with us in 90 seconds.
Second?
Yeah, come on in.
Thanks. I'm having an issue with Ralph.
With Ralph?
He keeps stealing my lunch.
He's just researching new flavors.
That is slow smoked turkey.
Ralph steals my lunch all the time. You get used to it.
He also peed on my bag.
He is warming up to you. Starting a new job, it's a big change. I want you to think about how you can be more accommodating to Ralph. We're all co-owners here.
If I'm only wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
What does being different mean to me? That is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
But love is passion. Somebody can't live without. What do you want?
What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, hour number 2. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. And now joining us is the former NFL MVP, starred during his college days at Alabama. And now Sean Alexander's doing great work with the Sean Alexander Award for the Freshman Player of the Year, the Harvest Covenant, and also Stand Together. Sean, my man, how you been?
Brother, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. So we'll get to your Seahawks in just a second. But let me start you off with Alabama. So they made the college football playoff this year. They won a playoff game up against Oklahoma. Then they got smacked up against Indiana. How do you look back at the first 2 years of the Kalen DeBoer era?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm a big Kalen DeBoer fan. I've gotten to be able to talk with him and got to be close to him, just like Coach Saban, great relationship. And it's wild. Saban was 19-8 his first 2 years, and DeBoer is 20-8. His first 2 years, and it just doesn't feel the same. So it's kind of wild. Saban's second year, they lost the SEC championship and then lost their bowl game to Utah, and everybody's like, "This team's coming next year," and they're going to, and they did, and they win the national championship. And DeBoer is 20-8, and it just doesn't feel the same. The portal is big. We've got to go figure that out. I think we got the right coach. I think we got to figure out how to get this portal game done right. You got guys leaving and coming back. The swag of just saying, you come here, you're going to be a part of our $1 trillion first round factory. It doesn't work because kids are like, that's great, coach, but I might get 400,000, $1 million, 1.7, 2.5. now, and it's just making it difficult to build the right roster. But just like all the years before, they change things, they add things. Alabama will figure it out. And I think it's really figuring out the portal game and then going and doing what we do.
Yeah, the surprising part to me, and I'm a huge Kalen DeBoer fan. I've been interviewing him since he was the coach at Fresno State. But I look at him at Washington. Michael Penix Jr. was an injury quarterback coming over from Indiana. I didn't think he would be like one of the best quarterbacks in college football for a 2-year stretch. And Jalen Milroe had some moments, but never reached his full potential. Ty Simpson this year had some moments, and I know he was banged up at the end of the season, but it was ugly in the last month of the season. That's the surprising part to me, is that the quarterback play, where for most of the time until later on in the Saban era, it never needed to be great with DeBoer. You would think it would be great, and it hasn't been great.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting. I love Ryan Williams. I think that he played hurt too this year. So now you got that kind of talent that you felt like, oh man, this is great, and he didn't really go there. Bernard was great the whole time. Houghton was great. So I think it's that. I feel like, to me, Alabama's always been able to say, at the end of the day, we can just run the ball and we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And you go back all the way back to the 20s, 1920s. You know what I mean? Not like 5 years ago. 1920, 50s with Bear Bryant, 60s, 70s. There's always been just great running backs, and I feel like that is a big piece that's just missing. I don't know if I want to blame just the offensive line, but I'm also speaking as a running back at Alabama. There was a swag and a confidence that you had to show up and be that dude at the play at Alabama, and we haven't figured that out yet either. And so I feel like, get the running back to get the thing that, clearly they're 5-star players, so there's talent there, but get them to play over the top is what we need, and then figure out that portal. Alabama's going to be all right.
Yeah, it is a wild world that we're living in right now. Indiana is undefeated, and Indiana is 60 minutes away from being an undefeated national champion. If you would have told me this 2 years ago, that Indiana would have back-to-back playoff appearances, I would have said, like, hey, here's the drug test. Please go take it.
Yeah, the only thing that doesn't surprise me is that it's Cignetti. You know what I mean? Like, he was great at Bama, and he knew how he was going to figure it out, and so that was just a piece of it. So like, I'm not surprised that it was him that did that. But then, other than that, Indiana's playing ahead of their schedule, and so so that's yeah, it is wild to just think that it's Indiana though, but Cignetti being the coach kind of makes sense.
Sean Alexander here with us. What's your favorite memory? You look back at your Alabama career. If you had to give me one or two that you go, I still can't get over that all those years later, what are the two memories for Sean Alexander?
At Alabama, I say the LSU game my freshman year, and then winning the SEC championship, to be able to, be I guess it was the 21st SEC championship team and playing in the 50th national championship. Those are just great memories. You can never take those things back. Just going out there and knowing that you were part of the legacy of winning championships and being an All-American and breaking all the school records, those things are just phenomenal. But to do it my freshman year and then cap it off my senior year like that was pretty sweet.
I know this award is not new anymore, and you guys have been handing it out for the last few years, but the Sean Alexander Award Freshman Player of the Year did go to Julian Sayin this year. Just what stood out to you about him, and tell us about how this award really just did come about for you.
The college football awards Writers Association, that's what it was, the College Football Writers Association. They picked me to come and help pick out the freshman team 9 years ago. And they wanted me to be a part of college football in some kind of way. It was a lot of fun. And then the next year, they were like, hey, we want to name the freshman player of the year after somebody. And I was just like, yeah, hey, let me help be a part of that. And they were like, actually, it was you, Sean. We've been thinking about who would be the guy we'd want the name after. And we just wanted to see if you was the same guy and guy that could still have the stories of relevance and still impact the players and tell them the stories of when you played and also be a good scout. And that's what it was. And so we went through the whole process with the Football Writers Association. We moved over to Maxwell Football Club, and they have the Doak Walker and the Outland. Yeah. And they've helped us just pick out great winners year after year. This year it's Julian Sands, a quarterback at Ohio State. And we just came up with just a simple formula. great talent. You turn the film and you just see it. You know, we want the guy to be an ambassador to their university. We want great character, you know, and that's one of those clauses that Sean Zander's still young. We don't want somebody to go out and get in trouble and all of a sudden it affects my name. And then the fourth one is what we call a legend. And legends is what the NFL calls players that just played in the NFL. Not necessarily has to be the GOAT or Tom Brady but man, they played in the NFL. They carried on their family tradition. They carried on a great name for their high school. They made it to the NFL, which is a great accomplishment. So we look at the kids as freshmen in college and we say, man, talent's off the hook, great character. The school loves him, and we watch him and we think he's going to be great in the pros. And we've picked 8 great guys, from Trevor Lawrence being our first winner to Kenneth Gainsbourg, who was just in the playoffs with the Steelers, to Will Anderson, who was at the Texans doing his thing, and Brock Bowers was Rookie of the Year last year, to Drake May, who's still in the playoffs killing it, to Caleb Downs, who's still at Ohio State playing great. And he'll be a top 5 pick this year. Then you got Colin Simmons at Texas, defensive end. He'll be a first round pick next year. And then you got Julian Sands. And those guys fit that well. They carry our brand and our name well. We're honored to have them be a part of it.
Let's get to your Seahawks, Sean Alexander. So Sam Darnold, the last 2 years have saved his career, but now there's that big game narrative. But where are you at as Sam Darnold enters his first playoff game with the Seahawks on Sam?
You know, I think that we have an amazing defense, and defense always wins championships. I think Sam was who we thought he was when we grabbed him from Minnesota. Was going to be that guy that was going to come out and make plays and do it well. And so he's just doing his thing, you know what I mean? And I think that he's going to play 3 great games. You know, he'll play this one this great. He'll play in the NFC Championship great. He'll play in the Super Bowl great. And he will do just enough for us to hold up our 2nd Lambeau Trophy, our 4th Super Bowl appearance. So we're excited about what he's about to do with the Seahawks.
You look at the running backs. So the numbers that Charbonnet and Walker together put up is like what was one Sean Alexander. Maybe not even that, but they've been a really good tandem where it's like 1,800 yards, 20 total touchdowns. When you combine both their 2 statistics, what is it like watching both of these running backs?
No, I feel like you've said that right. The time has changed where, they used to let me go and go get it. Marshawn Lynch, we just go get it. Ricky Waters before me, just go get it. You know what I mean? That's a tandem backfields where, they look like a pretty valuable commodity. And so, they both run hard. They see holes well. They hit them. They break way more tackles than I think that was a gift that I had that you wouldn't tell it. And the next you'd be like, how many yards after contact? Dang, he's got a lot of yards after contact. How many tackles he broke? Wow, he broke a lot of tackles. Marshawn was a different runner, so he ran so much more aggressive. It appeared that he breaks more than our boys now, but it's very close because they just do it in a different kind of way. They slide off the blocks instead of pounding through them, and both of them are very effective.
By the way, it is such bullshit that you don't even get considered for the Hall of Fame. Like, I'm looking back at your numbers right now. They said you didn't play long enough. You had 100 total touchdowns and 9,453 rushing yards. It's actually 112 total touchdowns when you factor in all the ones that you had receiving. Are you over the Hall of Fame, or is it still something that eats at you and you just say, man, they don't even give me a sniff?
Eat at me, no. Do I think it's not right? Yeah, there's something wrong with the system, because if I didn't play long enough, then that should even make me more qualified. You know what I mean? So you got 112 touchdowns on 99 in 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, no one does that, and so it's tough to watch and know that there's like this psyche that the window, or even what the field goal is to make it a good kick, is no longer the same. Like, what it was this guy was great, and when you watched him, everybody feared it, and everybody understood what was going to happen. And then when he did something amazing, no one was surprised. So I get all of those vibes. Our team went from not being really, it's just Seattle, to every year, even now today, no one's shocked with Seattle winning all their games at home. That was from my crew and my generation, and so to hear all the things that you would call great or make you great, and then hear that my rules are something different, that's a little bit hard to believe.
When you get towards the end of your career, you get up there in age. I always wonder how players handle it. Like Derrick Henry's still a heck of a running back and Alabama guy, but had some fumble problems this year. What do you think he's going through mentally where he's still producing, but it wasn't his best season this year and he's getting up there in age now?
Yeah, there's a great war press of in yourself. Like, what do you need to do to help your team win? And then what do you need to do to make yourself get better? And usually there is a lack or a lower of all your skill set. But it really depends on if the team and the city can handle that. Like, otherwise your role just shifting, you know what I mean? From, 1,800 yards, 1,600 yards. Okay, what if he just gets 1,000 and 9 touchdowns? Are you going to be offended, or is it going to seem like he's off? Yeah, and that's my case. Get him out of here. Next guy comes in, 800 yards, 7 touchdowns. You're like, really? I would have got that. But when you're used to seeing something so gaudy, then what could be average or okay feels like it's terrible.
How about what's going on? Mike Tomlin resigns as the coach of the Steelers. John Harbaugh gets fired from the Ravens. Now is going to be the next coach of the Giants. Just two guys that have been head coaches for the last 2 decades. Your reaction on Tomlin walking away and then Harbaugh going to the Giants?
I think Mike Tomlin is a great coach. Both of them are great coaches. I think Mike Tomlin is a great coach, and I feel like he kind of has a great sense of the moment. And for him to go 19 years, win a Super Bowl, all these winning seasons, all these playoffs, he's feeling like, you know what? Before I get devalued for the greatness that he is as a coach, he's like, it's just probably time for me to move on. And then Harbaugh, same way, just really excellent coach. He's like, I got some years still in me, so it's okay for me to shift and move on.
One more thing that I want to ask you, and then we'll also talk about the charity work that you're doing, wrapping up with our guy Sean Alexander. You look at Jackson Smith and Jigba. I remember I sat with him the day before he got drafted, and I said to him, I know you suffered injuries, but like, I'm not just saying this because you're in front of me. I believe it. I thought he was the best wide receiver in his draft class, and this year we knew he was good going into the year, like really good. Yeah. But he showed that he could be great, elite, one of, if not the best wide receivers in the NFL. Just how about the jump that you've seen out of him with DK Metcalf no longer there and Lockett no longer there and more getting thrown to the plate of JSN?
Yeah, sometimes you need everybody to just get out the way. That's what he needed. But he's just a humble, I'm going to grind it out and I'm going to show it with my work. And he wasn't one of those guys that's complaining, I need the ball, but he felt like that from the beginning, that he was going to be really good and special, and he is. I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? He puts it in, and he was doing that at Ohio State. And you're right, the nicks and bumps and bruises throw you off a little bit, but here's what a healthy Jackson looks like. And man, he's been dominant. And offensively, when you got 2 tailbacks and a receiver like him, it's hard to stop.
How about what you're doing with the Harvest Covenant and then also Stand Together?
Yeah. Harvest Covenant at the school. We did our first year. We started school. It was great. Always need people to come and be supportive, get some kids scholarships, just an opportunity to play ball that probably couldn't afford to come and play at a school like ours. And we traveled around. We played in 5 states this year. Got to play in the Indianapolis, the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, where the Colts play, and it was a lot of fun for these kids. Some of the kids that were homeschooled, never played before, to some kids just being super talented, wanting a chance to be coached by me and my great staff. It was amazing, a lot of fun, and next year will be bigger and better, man, bigger and better. We're excited for all the kids, all you Harvest kids that are listening and watching. Let's go to work. And then they would stand together. We're building the philanthropic locker room. Every player wants to get to the NFL and figure out how to give back to the community. And my partnership would stand together with the NFL, with the Legends community, with the NFLPA Trust. It's all about getting all the players, both current and legends, the opportunity to do what they want to do in community at a higher level. If it's Thanksgiving, if it's Christmas, if it's in education, if it's kids in the juvenile justice system, if whatever it is, there's a way that everyone wants to give back. We say join our philanthropic locker room and let's supercharge how you do it. Let's go find ways to get you there, to at least come up with the ideas, or at least think through what you're doing. I promise every player and every community and every legend that we will make your community and your project and your heart's desire go to another level.
By the way, Sonia, who's one of the great PR people, she just texted me and she said your beautiful wife, Valerie, is due with their 14th child coming up in a few weeks. Is that right?
It is. It is. Hold that thought, because I just saw her walk to the door. Hold on a second.
Okay. So Sean is, I guess, going to be a good husband here, and I guess let his wife in the room as he does this interview. 14 kids? That's what's cooking here?
Yes. So she is pregnant with our 14th child, and we are super excited. We are due in about a little bit over a month. It'll be a girl, so it'll be girls and 3 boys, and we're just super excited, man. Totally honored that God would allow us to be able to have that. Super impressed that I married a superhero and a wife that would be able to to produce kids like this. And like, people walk up to us and they're like, "Oh my gosh, my grandmother was like that," or "My great grandma."
Yeah.
We just wanted a bunch of kids, and then we just let God do what He wanted to do, and He has blessed us tremendously with the ability to have a bunch of kids and love on them and watch them be really, really dynamic, and being a proud dad in so many ways. Love all my girls, love watching my boys grow and just mature in life. So it's a lot of fun.
Breaking news. You're going to attempt an NFL comeback. Yeah, I heard you and Philip Rivers are on the same plan, at least with the kids. So that means you're coming back to the NFL this year?
Philip's like, "Oh, you're going to have 14 kids? Well, I'm going to come back and play football." I'm like, "Okay, you went up on that one. Okay, I'm going to one up on this one." So, I don't think that's the plan,
Gotcha. Are you at a beach right now? It's I can hear like some ocean in the background. It sounds good.
Yeah. We try to go to the beach and get some sun before we have the next baby. And so we just try to find a beach and go do it.
Well, I'm going to let you run, because if your wife has to hear my voice anymore, it's not going to be like a peaceful, nice getaway. So I appreciate you jumping on board with us, and always great to connect with you, my friend.
No doubt, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Roll Tide, go Seahawks.
You got it. There he is, Sean Alexander, former NFL MVP, a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a joke that he's not. And I'll make the case right now. And I understand he didn't, people say, "Oh, well, he only had 123 games in the NFL." His first year, you don't really factor in the stats. And the last 3 years, you don't really factor in the stats. But there was a stretch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elite seasons. And we're going to sit here and say this guy hasn't really played that much. And he has 100 rushing touchdowns, 12 receiving touchdowns, rushing yards in this stretch, 1,318, 14 rushing touchdowns, 1,175, 16 rushing touchdowns, 1,435, 14 rushing touchdowns, 1,696 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns. That's all rushing. 1,880 rushing yards, 27 rushing touchdowns. That stretch just alone, that guy should be a Hall of Famer. And it's amazing how they don't even give him any consideration. For years, I was hot, I was annoyed, I was mad, I was furious that Jerry Kramer wasn't in the Hall of Fame. I would sit there for 7-8 years, interview the great Jerry Kramer, and it wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Eventually got that call. Leroy Butler, a good friend of mine, for years. "Leroy, you invented the Lambeau leap. Look at your stats. How are you not in the Hall of Fame for what you did as a safety?" Eventually got in. Sean Alexander is one guy that I've pivoted to that should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. And I'll tell you the other guy, and I'm annoyed by this because it's amazing to me how this guy wasn't even a finalist. How about Rodney Harrison? Rodney Harrison was one of the more ferocious safeties that you'll ever see. And recently, I'll pull up the stats here because I texted my buddy Devin McCourty, and we were talking about this before a game once. And I said, I got to send you some numbers on Rodney, because we both couldn't believe how Rodney wasn't a finalist for the Hall of Fame. And this is my tweet. How is Rodney Harrison not even a finalist? He's one of 2 players to have 30-plus interceptions and 30-plus sacks. The other is Ray Lewis. And on the 03-04 teams in just the playoffs, he had 6 interceptions and a touchdown, 2 forced fumbles, 2 sacks, 47 tackles in 6 playoff games. He got 2 rings. Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time, also said Rodney is the best safety that he's ever coached. Ever coached. So I don't understand how Rodney Harrison isn't in the Hall of Fame, and I don't understand how Sean Alexander also isn't in the Hall of Fame. All righty, I want to just do this real quickly. Garrett Ross, let me bring you into the fold here because I know that you are a big college football fan. But
yeah, no, it does. I will say the mind control chip.
Alexander and State
But
on
good idea.
Alabama. Where are you at right now on Kalen DeBoer through 2 years, and someone that roots for a team in the SEC? What's your view of one Alabama?
I mean, I think it was natural that they were going to take a step back, right? Like, you don't just follow up the greatest coach ever and not have any regression. I really admire him for even taking on that challenge because a lot of guys in an opportunity would have been scared to step foot in that place. I think they're in a unique situation where they're finding out that while we are a blue blood and we've been the face of college football for so long, that the way things have changed in the landscape, we do not have the financial backing to be that anymore. And I think that's a piece of humble pie that people in Tuscaloosa are having to settle with. But I don't think that anything or any of the, whether you want to call it regression, which is really kind of bullshit when you look at like what he's been able to do in the first 2 years, but given the standard, obviously it is regression to Nick Saban. But anybody who's complaining about Kalen DeBoer being the coach of Alabama really just needs to shut up because he's the hell of a coach.
Here's what I would say. I understand you're not having the same times that you were used to.
Right.
And the landscape of the sport is now different where, let's be real, and I know Nick Saban didn't like this when Shane Gillis said it on ESPN, now NIL and paying players are legal.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly happened, but do I think there were some players maybe at Alabama that got a big bag of cash and it was hush-hush money, like shush-shush? If you put a gun to my head, I would say, yeah, that probably did happen. But if you wanted to get rid of DeBoer, like let's say you're the Alabama fan, I'm done. I'm out on Kalen DeBoer. Remember that girl that won the Mega Millions or whatever? She's like, oh, now I have the buyout money to get rid of Kalen DeBoer. Who are you bringing in?
Thank you.
And I'm all for saying fire a coach. I won't crush people for saying fire a coach, but who are you bringing in? And I think the two names people would give me would be Sark. And Sark has all this money at Texas and just missed the college football playoff. Last time I checked, Sark as a head coach, sure, he won the Big 12 in Texas, finally in the Big 12. First year in the SEC, had them in the SEC championship game, had them in the Final Four of a 12-team college football playoff. But Texas this year didn't make the playoff. And then the other name would be Lane Kiffin, who, if he was at Ole Miss still, I could understand it.
Right.
But now he's at LSU. I do think Lane would leave LSU for Alabama, but I think Lane wants Alabama. Alabama doesn't want him because if they really wanted him, they could have got him 2 years ago.
No, I completely agree with you. And I don't know, like, to me, I guess maybe you could say Lanning, but I think Lanning's made it pretty obvious that he's staying put in Oregon. I think that's the best decision for them. But there's not really many coaches out there. And Bama's not one of those places. It's kind of like with LSU. I thought this cycle that John Summerall was the coach that should have been hired at LSU. I think he would have been a better fit there, personally. But it's the same situation.
You don't like Kiffin?
I don't. Like, I think he's a good coach, but I think it's a circus. The tweets, it's more of a troll. Like, you better win, bro. You better win a natty. I'm going to tell you that. I like him more than I like Brian Kelly by far.
That's not saying much. The Tiger family.
I know. But, like, at the same time, I'm so nervous that this is going to be a complete disaster with Lane Kiffin.
So when Kelly got there, I don't know how you felt about it.
I hated it.
Oh, you hated it from the moment?
From the jump.
Okay.
I thought he was a fraudulent coach at Notre Dame.
Wow.
If you go back and look, like, who did he beat? Where's his big wins at Notre Dame, Zach?
So that's fair because I used to push that narrative for a year. Notre Dame's just a good team. They're not a great team. They get in the college football playoff, they lose. They get to that national championship game, they got eviscerated by Alabama. But Notre Dame was in it like the Charlie Weiss years. They were in an ugly spot, and he got them back to national prominence, not just based off the brand, but in terms of the record at the end of the season. And I thought when he left Notre Dame, it was because he felt like he could have won a national championship there, and it would be easier to do so at LSU. And I said, well, look at the way that he built back up Notre Dame. You go to LSU, and Les Miles and Ed Orgeron has won a national championship. I thought that, yeah, within 4 years, probably Brian Kelly wins a national championship. In the first year, he's in the SEC title game. I know they had the first two losses right out of the gate, both years up against Florida State. But then sometimes just not a fit somewhere. And when you're a poser and you're trying to be somebody else and you're trying to change your accent and do all that stuff, and also Kelly doesn't treat people the right way, it blew up in his face. With Lane Kiffin going there, are there things about Lane Kiffin that I can't trust? Sure. Is Lane Kiffin at times like a ticking time bomb? Absolutely. Is this whole, I'm a changed man, I'm not the same guy I was 10 years ago? Maybe some of it's true, but overall, I still think he is the same kind of person. But Lane does, like, the personality of Lane meshes the personality, I think, of LSU. And I think they're actually like the right match where, it was Tim Tebow who said this to me and Tim Tebow said it in a nice way, like a choir boy way, about John Summerall. You kind of need an arrogance to be the Florida coach. Spurrier, Urban Meyer. Then Channing Crowder said it to me in a different way. He goes, Tim's being preacher. I won't be a preacher. Like, you kind of have to be an asshole and a dick to be the coach at Florida. And that's what was basically said, about John Summerall going there, where I've met John Summerall. I interviewed John Summerall before. He reminds me, I said this to him, you remind me like Dan Lanning, where you're a football psycho and you're a nut, but it's going to work. Now, Florida's a tough job, but you look at Kiffin, he seems like a fit and a mesh at LSU.
I mean, I guess in a sense, I think that he can vibe well with some of the people there. I thought it was kind of uncomfortable watching Kim Mulkey drag him out onto the court.
That was weird. Wasn't that weird?
There's things like that, and I don't like the idea of Sam Levitt coming over. I don't like this whole.
Well, they're very similar.
Too similar.
Levitt and Kiffin. If I ever said to Levitt, find me a personality of a coach in college football, it would be Kiffin.
Absolutely. And so I'm just interested to see. I'm just waiting for this to go off the rails, and I'm nervous. I'm just not a big fan of this hire, Zach.
Okay, so you being in Waco,
I am.
What are your thoughts on Kim Mulkey? Because I will make an admission to you. She scares the living crap. I've never talked to her, but she just scares me a little bit. Like, she seems like she's an intimidating presence.
It's definitely Cruella DeVille vibes constantly there. I think she rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think she did a lot of great things.
Heck of a coach.
Hell of a coach. But I think that it was just the right time for things to go a different direction. And I think she went off and proved her point, right? Like you go back there and you really turn LSU into this juggernaut from an NIL perspective, the attention you're getting, whether it was Flau'jae or Angel Reese, she just kind of went down there, proved her point, went back home. I don't like the way how she bullied her way into the law tech, getting a statue and stuff. She's very, she reminds me of a politician. Like, I would not be surprised.
But she bullied her way into getting a statue at Louisiana Tech. Yes. So what happened there? So I was not paying attention to the Kim Mulkey statue game at Louisiana
Tech. So she
Tech.
wanted this statue, and there was this whole big thing because I believe, oh my God, I think it's Terry Bradshaw's got a statue there or somebody else.
Okay.
But there was this thing where it was this whole, why don't I have one? And then all of a sudden, because she wanted a statue here in Waco. That was part of it. I want a statue in Waco. I want the campus. I want the gym on campus. And all that stuff didn't fly. And so she goes down. She flexes her little Louisiana muscles. She gets her statues at Law Tech. And it's just a whole weird dynamic with her, man.
My favorite Kim Mulkey moment, though, was when she had to wear the mask during COVID and she hated it. Yes. And I remember mocking this before a show. I did a pre-show promo with the mask on and it covering my eye, then covering my mouth, then all over the place, because that was one of the funniest press conferences that I've ever seen. But you're right. I saw that online, and now you see things online. You're like, what's AI and then what's real?
Right.
Her basically holding Lane Kiffin's hand like he's a little boy, like it's it's her grandson, and dragging him onto the court. Kim Mulkey's kind of telling everybody, hey, I'm the head boss here now at LSU.
Well, that's the thing is, I think everywhere she's at, she wants to be. Like, she's got to be the focal point. She wants to run the athletic department and everything. And, I mean, she's got so much leeway. She's got so much cachet being a native down there and everything. Yeah. And then the winds back it up. So I get her perspective of why she feels that way. But that's just a whole weird dynamic going down on the bayou right now.
So Matt Rule, who obviously was on with us yesterday, used to be the coach at Baylor before Carolina and then Nebraska. Matt Rule's one of his right-hand guys is Sean Patton, who I'm sure you've met through the years. I think was it Patton? I think it was on Fallon, or it was either Fallon or Kimmel. where remember in practice he got run over by that tackling dummy. Yeah, and I think it was either Fallon or Kimmel that ended up bringing him on. But Patton once told me this story that the coaches at Baylor, like to build some chemistry or whatever, they wanted to get a run and they wanted to play, a game of pick up hoops. Yeah. So they asked if they could use the women's like practice facility. And I guess with the way that that's set up, Mulkey's floor is on like a balcony.
Yeah,
like her office.
Yeah,
so she could look over. And she walked out as the coaches are scrimmaging one another. And she basically said, I will shut this down if you guys don't start playing better defense. And they thought she was kidding.
Oh.
But she started yelling, like, I expect better defense. So that's who Kim Mulkey is. And I'm telling you, phenomenal basketball coach, legendary basketball coach. She scares the living crap out of me. I'm intimidated by one Kim Mulkey.
You should be. I think most people are. But the one thing I will respect about it is you know who you are. You embrace it.
Yeah.
Just this is who I am. Love it or hate it. This is 100% authenticity is what you're getting with me. So I appreciate that about her.
Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, we got one more segment to play on a very busy Thursday edition of the show. We do know that Miami and Indiana are going to play for the Natty, the national championship game on Monday night. How about all the other teams that didn't get there? Right now, with what's going on in the transfer portal, the way that they ended their seasons too, who are some teams that you believe in that maybe could be playing in the national championship game this time next year? We'll get to that when we come on back in a matter of 90 seconds.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifted, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, it's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basic. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking for a deficient season?
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
I'm here to work out with you.
We did not put this little cookie cutter program together.
I'm in there with you, sweating, yelling, doing the damn thing.
Transform by Core Home Fitness.
A secret, I travel internationally every year. I struggle with insomnia both at home and especially in hotels. This was life-changing. It's called Fly Kit. My favorite aspect of the Fly Kit is it tells you when to sleep.
Dude, check out this robe. This is the dude robe. It's perfect for after the shower, gym, or even the beach. This thing is awesome. It also has this super premium towel lining to dry you off right away. Dude, what are you waiting for? Get yourself a dude robe today.
At Dreamy, we believe that life can be upgraded in comfort, convenience, and joy. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, final segment of the day. Zach Gelb here with you on 365 Sports. So we do have the national championship game coming up on Monday night. Tomorrow on the show, Aaron Murray, former Georgia quarterback, he is going to join us live. Also, I did earlier today have a sit-down interview with John Anik, who is obviously the play-by-play man for all things UFC. So we will play that conversation for you tomorrow. But just to end the show on a college football topic, where we know that Miami got there this year. We know that Indiana got there this year. Out of the playoff teams that didn't make the national championship game, who is the one that you trust the most to break through and make it next year? So I jotted down 4 teams, And one of those 4 teams didn't make the college football playoff, or one of those 4 teams made the college football playoff this year. The other 3 did not. But 4 teams I'm curious about on how we're going to be talking about them next year. The team that made the college football playoff that I'm going to put in this conversation is Oregon. Like, Oregon, to me, is a team that I think they're so close to getting there. So close to getting there. Where Dante Moore is now coming back huge. Their wide receivers injured all throughout the season. And you look at Dan Lanning, who's only been there for 4 years, and he's had 2 ugly endings. Ohio State, ugly ending in the playoff, and then this year, ugly ending up against Indiana. But I think he's knocking right on the door. You look at the last 3 seasons for Dan Lanning. So things didn't go right twice up against Kalen DeBoer when it was up against Washington. Then they make the college football playoff. They win the Big Ten, first year in the Big Ten. And coming off that bye, only one team has ever won a game coming off the bye in the history of the 12-team college football playoff format. That's Indiana. And coming off the bye last year, they get smoked by Ohio State. This year, they didn't play their best game up against Indiana when they had Indiana at home. They got a rematch, and they just got shredded. But only 2 losses on the season, and it came to the same team. I think Dan Lanning is one of those coaches that he's knocking right on the door of winning a national championship. I think I said 2 teams out of the 4. It's really, 1 team out of the 4 I said made the playoff. But I'm actually going to put now 5 teams in there. And it's actually 2 teams that made the playoffs. Ohio State. Like Ohio State, it's weird because last year they won the national championship. They lost to Michigan. The play calling has always been suspect. I've always thought, at least for the last, probably ever since he was in Philadelphia, that the Chip Kelly way that we used to view him, where it was Chip Kelly at Oregon was the thing. Then he goes to the Eagles, didn't work out. Goes to the 49ers, didn't work out. UCLA stayed longer than probably people would have imagined. But Chip Kelly, he lands at Ohio State, and him and Ryan Day, there was just, even though they won a championship, there were moments you're like, what the bleep are you doing? And I know Hartline then took over this year, and Hartline now is at USF. But I look at Ohio State, they just have so much talent. And even though Cardinal Tate is going to be going to the draft, you still get another year out of Jeremiah Smith. Julian Sayin then is going to get year number 2 as the starting quarterback. That Ohio State team, I'm not turned off with the fact that they lost this year to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, and then they lose to Miami in the opening round of the college football playoff. Like, I understand we view Ohio State sometimes better than what they actually are, but they're always going to be in the mix. But if the games get tight, if the games get close, and you get off to a little bit of a rocky start, Michigan 2 years ago, Indiana in the Big Ten championship game this year, Miami after that pick 6 this year, up against the Hurricanes, then Ohio State doesn't have the greatest toughness. Like Ryan Day, he tries to tell you, like, we're a tough football team. Where's Lou Holtz? We're a tough football team. Grit. But they're not really a gritty team. They're a lot of flash. They're a lot of sizzle. But if you tell me pick 2 teams that did not make the national championship game this year that have a chance to make it next year, I would start with Oregon and I would start with Ohio State. Now, 3 other teams that I'm just curious about. I'm curious how we're talking about Notre Dame next year. I really am. Notre Dame, they're losing Jeremiah Love. I think Jadarian Price also did declare for the NFL draft, but you have C.J. Carr. And C.J. Carr, as the season did go on, played better and better. And Notre Dame, and with the scheduling whole way that it's structured, it's going to be nearly impossible for them to miss the college football. Like, look at all the hell that had to break loose this year. And it gets easier for them for them to miss the college football playoff this year. And Freeman's a good coach. He is. So I look at Notre Dame, and I say they could be a team that could be in the national championship game next year. And then the 2 schools I'm fascinated by. I don't know how much belief I have in them, but I'm fascinated by them next year. I believe in more Texas than I do LSU. And I saw that Seaton, the offensive lineman from Colorado, Pete Nakos, he said that he's expected to have a visit to go to Texas, and they could use him on the offensive line. And maybe we'll do a segment coming up in a few weeks on Coach Prime, because it wouldn't shock me if this is the final year of Coach Prime in Boulder, Colorado. It really wouldn't. I know there's been some health issues. Year one, he took the college football world by storm for September. He was the epicenter. They were 3-0, then they won one game down the stretch. Year number 2, they were competing for a Big 12 championship. And then this year, it got ugly, and I mean really ugly. And we'll see if their quarterback, Juju Lewis, who was in and out of the lineup this year, what he could do if he's the guy for the full season this year. We'll see what happens there. Caden Salter wasn't really much. Then they went to that other guy, I forget his name, Staub, I think it was. They went to him for a little bit, but I'm curious to see what happens with Colorado. But anyway, Texas and LSU, those are two programs where I have more belief in Texas. And I actually think Arch Manning, I know he ended the season on a positive note, but Arch Manning having some of the moments where he fell on his face this year could actually be the best thing to happen for him. And the reason why I say that is because now you're going to go into this season and people are stubborn. I'm stubborn. You're stubborn. But when you look at a guy like Arch Manning, everyone went into this year. Remember Paul Feinbaum? And that's what I call him when he had a take like this. That he said, oh, Arch Manning is the best quarterback, the most hyped quarterback, like the best quarterback in college football since Tim Tebow. That's what he said. I'm like, did you forget about Cam? Did you forget about Joe Burrow in the season? He threw 60 passing touchdowns. So we went into this year where we would have debates. What's a successful year for Arch Manning? It's like, oh, win the Heisman or bust. Or win a national championship, right? Or bust. He had to do one of those two things. They didn't make the college football playoff. He wasn't even in consideration for the Heisman. So is there always going to be intrigue about him? Yes. But I look at Arch Manning, and I think this year people are going to lower the standard. There's going to be 50% that go, oh, I'm out on Arch. And then the other 50% are going to sit there and they're going to say, wait. Not so fast, my friends. He could still be that quarterback. So Arch Manning is someone that really intrigues me this year. And don't be surprised if Texas is back in the college football playoff next year. If Arch Manning is a finalist for the Heisman in New York City. And also, Arch ends up being the first quarterback off the board in the draft for what would be the 2027 draft class. And then LSU. Levitt in a bigger school will be intriguing. We saw when he was the quarterback at Arizona State, even though that was really Cam Scadaboo's team, we saw him go to the college football playoff and throw, everything that they could have at Texas. But now you bring in Lane Kiffin, and Lane Kiffin just took Ole Miss to the college football playoff. So I look at this, and Garrett, I'll bring you back into the fold here. Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, LSU. Those are some under consideration for me. Who are some other teams that didn't make the national championship game this year that you're curious you're buying stock into for next year?
I'm interested to see how Texas Tech rebounds, because I think with the money, the infrastructure, I think they did a good job of replacing the trenches with David Bailey and all them leaving, Romello Height, Lee Hunter, just absolutely ridiculous talent that they had in the trenches. I think they've addressed that. I don't think it's going to be up to that, on that par with that. But I think Brendan Sorsby is a better quarterback than what you have with Baron Morton. Yeah. I'm still not sold that he's elite or anything, but I think in that system he can have a lot of success. Now, do you find consistency in your running game? I know you brought back every one of your running backs, but I thought really in the playoffs that you didn't get much production, and that unit as a whole underperformed. Kind of the same thing with your receiving core. Is Micah Hudson finally going to step up and be the guy coming out of high school with a 5-star cachet around him that he's really going to break out this year? What are you going to get from that unit? I'm really interested to see how they hold up and rebound, because you just won your first Big 12 championship forever. All eyes are on you, not just locally or regionally, but nationwide, because of the Cody Campbell aspect from this. So I'm interested to see them. I would probably say, oh man, Indiana, what does Indiana look like again? Like you have another quarterback that you're going to bring in. I've watched Josh Hoover play a lot.
I like him.
Here's what I found interesting about him was we had Sonny Dykes on a couple of years ago at the Big 12 Media Days, and he's coached all sorts of quarterbacks. And he was like, dude, Josh is literally the most talented quarterback I've ever coached. And I'm like, damn, dude. Like, so I know that it's there. I've seen the flashes from Josh Hoover. I haven't seen him be consistent, but I also think a lot of that was they had no rushing attack this year at TCU. Like Amani Bailey did okay, but you had nobody to really take the pressure off of him. And you put him up there with those type of playmakers that Indiana's going to have, I think they're going to be really good again.
I'll tell you, I'm glad you brought up Texas Tech, and I'll also bring up A&M.
Okay.
I just wonder, are there limitations for those programs? Like Texas Tech, can you do better than just winning the Big 12 championship? Like, can you do better than that? A&M, you know, they didn't even make the SEC title game this year. They had one loss, and then that's just the way that it happened. And then your offense just kind of crapped the bed up, you know, in that college football playoff game up against Miami. Like, both of those schools are spending an incredible amount of money. An incredible amount of money. It's one thing to spend the money. It's also to win with that money. And how far can you win? Like, A&M, successful season. Texas Tech, successful season. But can they go win a national championship? And if Miami finds a way to pull off the upset on Monday night, I think it changes how a lot of people are going to think, because I went into this season saying, if you're not in the SEC, I know A&M is in the SEC, and if you're not in the Big Ten, you're not going to win a national. Like, I didn't believe the ACC could win a national championship this year. I didn't believe that the Big 12 could win a national championship. But if Miami in the ACC, who didn't even win the ACC championship, if they go win the Natty on Monday night, a lot of these other schools are going to be sitting there and saying, well, why can't we do it then?
No, that's a really good point. I also think another team, like, just to keep an eye on, because they bring back so much talent next year, is BYU. And they've been knocking on the door the past couple of years. I feel like they've gotten slighted. Like, I know they're not great. I know they can't really score, but you brought back a ton. Jay Hill leaving, though, as your defensive coordinator going up to Michigan, that's massive.
I love Kalani Sitake.
He's a hell of a coach, dude.
He's a heck of a coach. However, with that being said, he had 2 chances this year.
I know.
Against Texas Tech. 2 chances. And that's another school that I like. If I have limitations on Texas Tech and A&M, I got limitations on BYU. You know,
you should.
You said it earlier. Notre Dame. Who did you beat? BYU.
I know. I'm right there with you. I'm with you.
There's a difference between good, very good, great, and elite. That's the way that we'll end the show today. All righty. Fun Zach Gelb show right here on 365 Sports. Make sure you subscribe right here, youtube.com, right on the 365 Sports page. And then, you know, you do one little click of a subscribe. You got to do another. YouTube.com/@Zach Gelb Show. Always follow me, Twitter and Instagram @Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. And you get me on TikTok @The Zach Gelb Show. Andrew Valet, great job. Also, big thank you to Garrett Ross and each and every one of you for tuning on in. Also like to thank Sean Alexander for stopping by and Andrew Perloff as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a big football Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time right here on 365 Sports. We'll have an in-studio interview with John Anik. Looking forward to that. The man behind the UFC in terms of the play-by-play. And then also Aaron Murray, former college quarterback, will join us, and we'll preview that national championship game on Monday night. And I'll give you predictions on the 4 playoff games that we do have on divisional weekend, and we'll get the stage set for who's going to be in the conference championship game when we get back on the air on Monday. I'm Zach Gelb. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.